Welcome back, everyone. Today's explainer takes us on an absolutely wild journey, straight into the heart of a radically alternative worldview. We're diving deep into some source material that maps out a really incredible narrative arc. I mean, it literally starts in the shadows of intense technological conspiracies and then bridges directly into profound claims of spiritual ascension. So if you love dissecting complex, fringe perspectives and seeing how wildly different ideas connect, well, you're in the right place. Let's get right into it. Our sources kick things off with this incredibly provocative quote: "Everything you believe and know, folks, is not true." It's a huge hook, right? The text is basically demanding that we completely detach from our conventional understanding of reality before it even begins to introduce its own hidden truths. Okay, let's dive into our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 5 main parts: escaping the controlled matrix, surveillance and suppressed technology, Space Force secrets, the rise of the angelic human, and finally, the 2033 ascension timeline. It's fascinating how this narrative jumps straight from earthly paranoia right into high-frequency cosmic ascension.
Part 1. Escaping the controlled matrix. So, to start off, we really need to look at the speaker's intense claims about a deliberately hidden, manipulated reality. The core assertion here is that humanity has been systematically robbed. I mean, imagine a world with limitless free energy and literally zero electric bills. The speaker claims that keeping these world-changing energies, specifically things like zero-point energy and sonic technologies, out of public hands is exactly how this matrix of control survives. They assert that a controlling elite, which they refer to interchangeably as the deep state or Luciferians, is actively suppressing these massive advancements. And according to the source, this control is enforced through some extremely severe measures. The speaker neutrally lists a timeline of alleged targets, claiming that 11 to 12 scientists have recently either disappeared or been killed. This alleged silencing is said to go all the way back to historical figures like Nikola Tesla, right up to contemporary individuals named Alpha, Scott, and someone referred to simply as David. The speaker even reports severe harassment and multiple attempts on their own life. It paints a picture of a highly dangerous, active campaign to just completely suppress the truth. Now, what's really interesting here is when the narrative takes a sharp turn into fringe theory regarding David. The speaker questions the official story of David taking his own life in public. Instead, they propose this wild idea that a clone might have actually been put in his place. Why? So the real David could be extracted to a safe zone without the dark powers even realizing it. It's a striking example of the source demanding that we think way outside the box, or, outside the matrix, to understand their version of reality.
Part 2. Surveillance and suppressed technology. So how exactly does the source believe this massive matrix of control is actively maintained in our everyday modern digital era? Well, while traditional MKUltra is historically understood as a covert psychological mind control program, the speaker defines a totally new system they call the new MKUltra. The claim is that intelligence apparatuses are exploiting our digital footprints. Think about your smartwatch, the cell phone in your pocket, or even your banking data. They're allegedly using all of this to know exactly what triggers us psychologically. It's framed as a surveillance system woven directly into the fabric of our everyday modern convenience. Part 3. Space Force secrets and hidden disclosures. This is where the narrative introduces a really massive technological turning point involving modern government military branches. The crucial point is that the speaker views the United States Space Force not just as a military branch, but as a deliberate mechanism for gradual disclosure. They see it as an umbrella agency designed to slowly introduce the public to suppressed technologies that were actually engineered 70 to 80 years ago, basically framing them as brand new discoveries. And this brilliantly illustrates the concept. Former General Stevens allegedly outlined what's described as a Nikola Tesla-level infrastructure. The idea is that energy is beamed directly down from space, passes through rectennas, and then distributes wirelessly through the ionosphere. The practical so what of all this? Your phone would literally never need a charging cable again, because it'd be charged entirely by satellite signals. Which naturally leads us to a pretty massive question. If this technological matrix of suppression and surveillance is so incredibly vast, how does humanity actually break free? Well, according to the texts, the answer isn't a political revolution, and it's not a technological war. Instead, it's a profound, high-vibrational spiritual awakening. Let's look at how that shift happens.
Part 4. Rise of the Angelic Human.
Here, the source material suddenly abandons the dark, paranoid conspiracies and shifts into this really radiant imagery, specifically referencing the teachings of Samuel B. Lee. It says, We are anchoring the light codes and integrating Christ consciousness as we remember we are the light. The text is describing a profound, ongoing vibrational shift that is actively happening right now. It claims that for those embracing the shift, life is already feeling, quote, heavenly here on earth. It's a remarkably hopeful and jarring shift in the overall narrative. The sources clearly define this brand new state of being as the angelic human. The speaker believes that individuals will evolve, not just spiritually, but physically, embodying much higher frequencies to become conscious co-creators of reality. The idea is that as people elevate their frequency stage by stage, the intense suppression we talked about in the first half of the explainer is completely countered by this internal, energetic evolution.
Part 5. The 2033 Ascension Timeline. Now, the sources don't just speak in vague spiritual terms, they actually map out exact chronological prophecies. The text claims a highly specific biological and spiritual upgrade is coming, which they call the 12-stranded Diamond Sun DNA template. This is supposedly going to become the new baseline for humanity, or, at least for those who actively choose it. As this new DNA template comes online, those old realities, the restrictive matrices we talked about earlier, which the text refers to as phantom fields, will supposedly just begin to fade away. And the texts give us a very specific chronological map for this whole transformation. The window between the years 2029 and 2033 is considered absolutely critical. In 2029, a period called bridge zone stabilization begins, and that marks the initial emergence of these angelic humans. This stabilization process builds over 4 years until 2033, which is the pivotal year when the Earth allegedly enters a completely new position, officially kicking off a brand new cycle. And that news cycle, it's massive. The text reveals that 2033 kicks off a news cycle spanning an astounding 26,556 years. You can really feel the emotional relief in the source material when it describes this time frame. The speaker expresses immense gratitude, basically viewing all the collective hardship and matrix suppression we covered earlier as a necessary journey, all so humanity could truly appreciate finally coming home. So we end with this. How do you view the intersection of rapid, hidden technological advancement and these profound claims of human spiritual evolution? The source material leaves us with a reality where suppressed wireless satellite energy and 12-stranded DNA exist in the exact same narrative ecosystem. It's just a wildly fascinating collision of ideas. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning the narratives and keep wondering what's possible.